What's happening in San Diego? This is Laura Jane, and I am here with Jeeyoon Kim in the studio at Thunderbird Analog Recording Studio, and we are going to be talking about classical piano. She has a brand new record coming out in December on the 9th called Over, Above, Beyond, and we're going to kick off the interview with talking about this first track that we're going to feature. This is actually the 17th track on the CD. It's called Golliwogg's Cakewalk, and it's by Debussy. Well, welcome.
Thank you for having me today.
It's our pleasure. I can't wait for all of San Diego to hear your new record, and hopefully 300 lucky people will be going to your CD release concert. So tell me about why you selected Golliwogg's Cakewalk.
Well, for this particular album, I was imagine I am flying over, above, beyond. And in that flying feeling, I wanted to express the feeling of lightness and a sense of hope through it. For particular, this piece gives me always a smile and a little bit more like, if this is a genre, it's like a fable, fantasy genre. So I kind of imagine there's a wood scene, there are squirrels and tigers and bear hands in hands and going somewhere, and they're having great fun and makes jokes, but they actually somehow understand their language. Maybe they're speaking English or not. But there's a very fun way of creating music. And when I play this piece, I can hear and see that those animals having great fun in the woods, maybe 4 o'clock in the morning, because that's an active time for animals. And I wanted to give that sense of lightness through this piece.
Well, it certainly is conveyed. I won't even tell you what I was thinking about during this piece. or I can. It wasn't animals, but it was, we were traveling through the desert and we were listening to your CD in the van, and it reminded me of being on a stagecoach. Because I was going through the desert, in a van, and I was thinking, what if I was in a stagecoach? And it was like kind of making, I don't know, like stagecoach feeling to me. I loved it. It made me smile as well. So thank you for the lightness of that piece. It was beautiful. And I want to talk a little bit about where you were born and how you got inspired to play piano. Did you have one in your home as a little girl?
To make that long story short, I don't have a recollection of how I started. The earliest memory I have, I was already playing piano. I started when I was 4, and I grew up in Korea, South Korea, in Busan, which is very similar to San Diego, the southern part of this Korea, which is sea city. I grew up eating sashimi every day, kind of. And I remember going to a music institute, with piano institute on my own, which now I think about it is very unreal for 4 years old, going to the institute every day and going about my outings with backpack, and every day. No parents pushed me to do anything. They just trust me to do my own thing. And I went to institute, and I have my routine to take a lesson with this instructor and practice there, and came home. And I clearly remember the trail that I went. I go to stop by those the guy who sells little produces, and I say hello, and then I go to the next stop. And I felt like it was part of my life, and I don't have any memory of, I have to play piano, or someone pushed me to do anything. But I was always a musical kid who enjoys singing and play piano. Of course, at some point, I had to be very serious. But by that point, that joy of music was already there. I couldn't think any other way. Decision was very easy. At the same time, in Korea, it's very competitive there. Once I started, then I realized, this is, if I play any one mistake, I will be out, kind of severe competition there. I went to art high school in Korea, which was even more severe than any entrance exam of college. I still had to go through all that. But even that, I remember still keep it cool. Keep it enjoying, not thinking like, I gotta be number 1, I gotta be the top of the competition, because otherwise I would probably already burned out. After university in Korea, still I had a master's and doctorate and another master's, which is more than 10 years of education, but I studied when I was 4, which means I would already, a lot of my friends actually unfortunately burned out when they got into university, because at that point a lot of them played since they were 4 as well. And this is not short sprint. This is actually lifelong marathon. And I was lucky enough that I was kind of, nobody pushed me. So I kind of always get to have that space in my life. Just enjoy. And I get to choose piano on my own, which I know that's my life and passion from early on. So then when I went to a master's and doctorate, I was still enjoying, even now. And I know this is marathon until hopefully the last day of my life, I was still playing piano.
Well, it sounds like you chose wisely, and that music kind of chose you as well.
Right.
And it told you, hey, this is going to be a lot of fun.
Yes.
You should probably do this because it's easy and it's fun. Well, it's not easy.
It's not easy.
But you're compelled easily to do the work. Right. Which is why I love entertainment myself,
right.
is because I love to make people laugh. Mm-hmm. I love to make people cry.
Right.
I love to get people in the room enjoying the same vibe with you that you are.
Right.
And that's what I see with you and your live performance. Mm-hmm. The 10 More Minutes video from YouTube was just tremendous. The way everyone in that crowd was just with you, and you... I love the way you interacted with them, and, you might want to dance during this. Go ahead.
Right. Yeah, that's the...
And then you kind of danced all over the piano, and your facial expressions are so beautiful. I loved it.
Thank
I
you.
hope I get to see your performance on the 9th.
Me too. I think it's a part of the joy of music is there's nothing bad about music. Even if I play wrong notes, world still continues and still world peace. And it's not about perfection. It's about communication. It's about giving them strength. I really believe the music is a gift for me, is God. And for us to enjoy. And from music, we get healed. From music, we feel joy. And so for me, it's like how lucky I am to deal with music every day and be able to become a messenger. Because through me, music is played. So I am becoming a great cup for music can be holded in. So people can drink from it.
That's beautiful right there. Well, I think we need to go on to the next beautiful song. Mm-hmm. This is Forgotten Melodies by Nikolai Metner. And let's just listen to the track and then we'll talk about it. This is Forgotten Melodies by Jeeyoon Kim off of Over, Above, and Beyond. Well, that was beautiful as well. Tell me about this track.
Well, this is number one track. You always decide which one could be the very first piece people are going to hear from the record. A lot of thoughts into it. So it's when you open the concert, what will be the first piece that I'll play. So I thought about a lot what could be, and I chose this particular track to be the first because this really represents well the sense of flying. I really imagine I am an eagle or a bird that flying over the horizon. And this piece goes on, and towards the end, you can definitely feel like you arrived somewhere, that arrived on top of the ridge, just about the sun rises. So that really visually, I feel the sense of lifted and flying, and that really is the core message of my album, Over, Above, Beyond. Let's dream and soar together over, above, beyond. And that is my wish through this track is, I'm flying. Will you join me?
Magnificent. And I've never heard of this composer before. What is his background?
He's Russian composer. It's the same as Rachmaninoff. Same era, right?
Okay.
It's just funny because it's called Forgotten Melodies because he's often forgotten. I know, but he's really, really magnificent composer that all of his, especially with the piano music, has so much melodic beauty in it. Often not much played, but once you discover, like, wow, I would like to explore more about this composer. That's my also hope for people. Like, I never heard of Mettner. Oh, but I would like to hear more about him.
That's what I was thinking when I was hearing it. I'm like, I don't know this guy yet. Debussy, yes, I've heard of him.
Right.
And I know some of his compositions. But I love that. Do you have a way of discovering new music? Do you spend a certain amount of time trying to listen to new composers or different compositions from same composers you like? Or what's your research pattern?
That's interesting because I think even if I play like 10 hours a day, every day, all my life, there's more than enough of the piano literature out there for me to explore. So that's, in a way, relief. I'm never going to be shortage of what to play next. So in that way, I have obviously the whole bank of music that I learned or want to learn, I want to explore, but it's all like people too. It comes as a timing. So I don't really think about what could be next right now. But about that time, I need to embark next project, next concert. Somehow the piece or the mood comes to me into the right mode. Then I know, I really wanted to that piece. That's the timing. That's the right season for that piece. I would love to bring that back. Or I really always wanted to play that composers, that particular piece that would really match well with this next project. So it really comes in as a season. And sometimes, even though it's one of my favorite pieces, never get to play because never found the right season yet. Sometimes some pieces that it always comes in and out in my life. That was actually part of the 10 more minutes because I brought up all my old friends back to in one table because I somehow taking these pieces along, even if season changes, this piece always kind of with me. So that was a part of the idea of 10 more minutes is that you wish just 10 more minutes of that person or just 10 more minutes of that particular great moment. And I wanted to gather all my old friends. But typically speaking, all those pieces that I choose that insightfully come in, or all of a sudden my friends suggest, hey, have you heard this piece? Like, no, but that sounds the right piece right now. So I can't really predict what I would do next, but I know it will come to me.
Well, I love that even after practicing every day and preparing for a concert, you'd still take the time to listen to music on your off time, as well, when you're chopping vegetables and making dinner or something, and you're like, that's interesting. I'll put that in my maybe pile or something,
Right.
That's great. I want to get into the illustration that is accompanying one of your pieces that you're going to be doing at your concert. So on, over, above, and beyond, the really fascinating tracks for me were 4 through 15, variations on an original theme, Opus 21, number 1, by Johann Brahms. It's called the Philosophical Variation.
Yes.
And this is what's going to be illustrated at your live concerts on your next tour.
Right.
So let's get into that.
Right. Yeah. So this is also called Philosophical Variations as a nickname. One of my favorite pieces I always wanted to play, but now it's the season it came to me. I'm so looking forward to share this very gem piece, but not much played for some reason. I think it's the character of philosophical character or somewhat introverted character might shy away from some of the listeners at first hearing. Maybe it kind of takes a little time to fall in love with it. But once you're in it, you can't believe how much beauty there is in this piece. For me, it has 11 variations, including themes, so 12 sections in this piece. And each variation reflects a journey, like maybe journey of life. And the last variation makes only sense only if you went through variation 1 through 10. So it's like in life, we find it like that one particular event doesn't make sense at the moment. When looking back, thinking, I know why that happened to me. That makes sense now. And when I played the last page of that whole piece, which is about 20 minutes, instead of like whole marching through the grand fanfare happens, instead of that, it's more like heavenly realm opens up and there is a sunshine laying on you that it makes sense. It kind of lifted. There's a moment that I know why I play this piece, and that is there's beauty going through which journey of life, and I wanted to share this piece in that level with the audience, and having the illustration, my wish was help them to understand just first hearing too, because for me, I hear it, I practice and I go digest every note and meaning of it, but sometimes audience just pass through it in 1 second. So some way enhance the experience just a little bit more in depth at the moment. So I think
makes you linger.
Right, exactly. Right. So that moment is like a slow motion of your life a little bit. With illustration, I think it really helps see the contrast between the variations more clearly. And my vision of how this event lead to the next and the last variation hits it. Hopefully everybody understand why that happened.
This podcast is brought to you by Hapnyn. Looking for something to do? Whether it's live music, dancing, theater, comedy, karaoke, trivia night, burlesque, interpretive dancing, you name it, you can find it on hapnyn.com. Visit hapnyn.com to find out what's happening near you. Okay, let's go back to your first record, your crowdfunded. How marvelous that everyone got behind you, because it is expensive to put these things out,
exactly.
For sure.
Right.
And it's a beautiful record. I loved it. And this is a track that you wrote called 10 More Minutes.
Right. Yeah, so that was basically improvisation of me playing in New York. I recorded this Octavan audio in New York, which I came back for my new record as well. And this particular 10 More Minutes is just so personal in a way, because I gather all my old friends of music together in the one table. And when I recording the last piece, I was thinking, myself saying 10 more minutes, that I wish that it was some kind of like a dream I didn't want to wake up from. And I wanted to capture that very feeling of in that studio, there's only microphone and there's a sound engineer and producer there, but no one else. And I wanted to capture that moment of wanting 10 more minutes myself, that very moment in that setting. And as a classical pianist, it's more vulnerable to play my own. It's because next to Beethoven, next to Tchaikovsky, I feel like I'm so mere poor musician. But I made myself vulnerable in that setting. And you know what? That's how I feel it. And can you feel me? As in a very kind of vulnerable kind of way. And when I looking back and listen, and even though it's not as like Beethoven, but I still felt like that was me in the very moment, wanting to 10 more minutes, and really reflected me well. So a lot of people gave me feedback like, I really adored your composition or your improvisation there. So I think I'm just happy with that happen. Looking back, that was my best.
All right, well, let's take a listen. This is 10 More Minutes. Is that the only original piece that is on either one of these albums?
Right. For now, it is.
But you're in the works for more, I hope?
In my pajamas, I always do. Well, it takes a lot more effort to put that out there, but I will keep working towards it. Again, it's like a timing. When some piece really hits me in the right timing with the right project, I would definitely share more with the world.
And do you perform with orchestras or bands or any other musicians, or are you a soloist all the way?
No, I think in that way, piano is the queen of the instrument, I always say, because it can be soloist, but it can be also with orchestra or with the chamber music. It's so versatile. It can be introverted, but it can be this magnificent virtuoso instrument. So as a pianist, majority of time, yes, I do mostly solo concert, but I do chamber music, which the group of trio or quintet. And also I play with orchestra as a soloist. That's a part of it. As a pianist, you have to kind of become chameleon of which group or setting that I will play the next. For example, next March, I will actually play with the Joffrey Ballet, with a 2-piano piece by Philip Glass, and the ballet dancers on the stage. So it's me.
How fun is that?
I know, right? I'm very looking forward to it. It's just kind of going to a nice excursion from solo performance.
Well, it sounds like you don't really have any boundaries at all.
No.
You could try anything if you wanted.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so great. I'm glad that you've have the freedom for that and that you find the support of your fans and your family and your team that helps you to do these magnificent things all around the world.
Right. As a soloist, I kind of get to be a little more creative what I would like to create in terms of an album and a follow-up tour concerts. For example, from the 10 more minutes, there's always a microphone on the stage that I introduce each piece, what it means to me before I play. In that way, I don't really give out the list of program beforehand. I always say I'm a chef that I created from the appetizer to dessert very carefully, but I don't want to give out all at once. This is tasting menu, but you, when you leave, you will get actually program handed out to you.
Oh, I like that.
So it's a kind of like, I wanted to experience this music together without people looking at, oh, this is next. So it's more like coming, not as surprise, but somewhat surprise and more engaging, because I will introduce them very short what it means to me, what I want them to listen for, basically. So I find it's more interactive, more communication that way with me as a pianist, performer, and they as a listener. It's a less barrier that way. So this will be the same way over Above Beyond. They kind of know what I will play, which is the philosophical variation, but other than that they don't have any idea what I will be playing. I like that idea too.
Yeah, I do. And it's, you're so theatrical with that, you know? And I think that that's great that you have such a confidence on stage that you can speak as well as play. I know a lot of musicians would prefer not to speak to their audience and would not want to stand up away from their instrument. And, you know, if you try to get a drummer to sing a song in the front without drums in front of them, very difficult. They're very scared. They feel naked. They're so used to that instrument.
Yeah.
You know, and it sounds like you were confident at 4 years old. You know, walking to school on your own, saying hi to the produce guy and making your way with your backpack and saying, I'm good. All good over here. Still having fun.
Yeah, I'm not sure I will be as confident, like, let's go kind of person to begin with. But more, I would like to connect with people more. And I found me talking about how I feel brings barrier much down. And eventually they hear music through me. The more they feel me, it's easier for them to understand the composure and the music. So I always wanted me to be a clear glass, not the plastic cup with the yellow marking all over, but clear. So when I say, you know, that's how I feel, I'm not sure that's how you're going to feel it, but I wish that you kind of try to tune into this music more. And I think that helps them to understand and much closer to the classical music in that way, because so much emotion, so much passion into it. Sometimes we kind of shy away from classical music. Maybe that's too difficult, that's too hard to understand. But when I did that way, I found a lot of audiences respond much more. So I don't have any other choice at this point, because I know that helps for them to understand.
Yeah, and I bet that they go home and they're like, oh, I should listen to more classical music. I really enjoyed that. Maybe I'll look up some other Brahms tracks, you know, and become inspired. I know I was inspired listening to it. It was great. And when you said the sun came out on the last one, we were watching the most spectacular sunset, listening to the philosophical variations. going through the mountains, and the mountains were purple, and the sky was turquoise and orange, and it was just like I was crying. I couldn't help but cry through that whole the journey of those songs, and I knew they were all related. I'm like, oh, this is all, and I wasn't paying attention to the tracks. I was driving, you know, and it was really beautiful, and it did seem like a journey.
Right. Yeah, that's my wish for each of my concerts to be experienced together, because for me it's another person to merely experience at that moment together too. So I'm not actually giver, but I'm also receiver at the moment. And at each concert I walk on the stage, I'm thinking like, I have this thing that are gonna open up together. How is gonna play out? Because each day we're a little bit different. Each day we feel differently certain things. So each concert is different. It's not like even if I play the same repertoire, I play so differently than one to the other because that atmosphere is different, piano is different, the vibe of the audience is different, and that's the beauty of live concert coming in like, let's open up together the Christmas present together, you know, and it's excitement there. And I really hope that all the audience walking out receive something or experience something. It's not just they attend a event, more of we went through a boot camp together and there's some unity afterwards because we shared experience together.
Well, I think that this is a great Christmas present.
It's true. So close to Christmas.
I think that if you have people in your life that would like to have a beautiful piano CD to put under your tree, their tree, you can get Jeeyoon Kim's Over, Above, and Beyond starting on December 9th. And which label are you on here?
It's a Namusu Classics. And you can get it in Amazon or iTunes.
Okay.
Anywhere. But one thing I wanted to add on to that is for this particular album, each album I always create a manual how to listen. For this one, I said, when you listen, kind of imagine some image in your head. Later time, if you happen to find that image that you were imagining while you listen, take a picture with your phone and share hashtag Over, Above, Beyond project. So that way, I see the illustration part of the philosophical variation is one example of that I shared with the world. But if you see some other image for other track, when you share your image, then I really see how you hear it differently. I'm actually very looking forward to seeing those images because it will be different from me.
So do you have a favorite social media platform that you're going to explore these hashtags on?
Yeah, Instagram will be the
on
best.
Instagram? Mm-hmm. Okay. And I have a question about the hashtag. Is it just over above, beyond project? Okay. Yes. I just wanted to make sure because I know sometimes
true.
Your album has the periods after, so I understand. I have a song that I wrote called Real Rat Problem, and there's a period after each word.
Ooh, sounds like a problem.
I don't want to get into it here. With all this beauty, let's not talk about rats. But remind me of your website.
It's my name. People find it difficult to pronounce my name, but I always say the month of June in Southern accent, June. So my name, JeeyoonKim, JeeyoonKim.com.
Okay, that's easy enough. Well, excellent. Well, best of luck to you. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
I want to invite everybody who listened right now to come to my live concert December 9th. I chose this embarking journey of Over, Above, Beyond from San Diego because now I'm based in San Diego, but I will go on to the world afterwards. And I always say the live concerts is different than listening to the CD because you are alive there, I'm alive there, we're in the same space, we're sharing that very precious hour and a half together. And once we go through it, and I think you understand what I am about. So hopefully all you can make it. Bring your friends and family.
And that's at Scripps Research Institute. And that starts at 3 in the afternoon on December 9th. And you can get a ticket link at jeeyoonkim.com and purchase your tickets there, I'm sure.
Right.
And it's been such a pleasure to have you here at Thunderbird Analog Recording Studio. And I just really love both records, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much.